What's up, everyone? Welcome to February, on to episode 2 of me covering rap music I like. I'm going to be doing it all year. This is the second month. Last episode ran a little longer than I wanted to at 50 minutes, so I'm going to try and speed through it a little quicker this week. So that being said, Robbie, I'm not going to ask you how you're doing this week.
All right, let's save some time.
We just, I was carefully going over what we did and didn't have time for, and we definitely don't have time for your feelings. So let's talk about STEM players instead.
All right.
Before I go into everything that came out in February, obviously Kanye and Donda is probably the biggest topic in hip hop right now, even though I would say nothing officially dropped. How would you look at it? How do you feel about, did it drop?
I think if you have a STEM player, it dropped.
Yeah.
But I'm not going out of my way to spend $500 or whatever it is for that little STEM player.
200
just to hear. I think that's how much the Kanye album is. I think you buy the album for 200, but the STEM player is a whole different purchase. I don't know the specifics. I'm not following it. I'm waiting for the album to come out on stream.
To be clear, I know one person who has a STEM player. Their review of the STEM player was that it works really well for Kanye's music, that on Donda 2, it comes with Donda 2, Donda and Jesus is King on it. And apparently you can mess around with the features on it so that, as teased, you can remove the beat so that it's just a cappella. You can remove an element of the beat. So that's something that would be really cool to play around with. But what I hear, and I would have expected this, but some people are disappointed that when you put other music onto the STEM player, if you want to start listening to Pimp a Butterfly on the STEM player, it doesn't work as well with taking away the beat, letting it go straight a cappella. Because if it did, then I think that would be just like an awesome little music toy.
That I didn't know it can do all that stuff. That's pretty cool.
But my opinion on Donda 2, I think what we got was more or less a concert than it was actually Donda 2. I know what you mean. If you have a STEM player, you have access to 10, 15 new Kanye songs, or you could just go online. But given what we got for the first Donda rollout, 3 concerts, all of them different, comparing that rollout to this version of Donda 2, I mean, there's songs he did in that concert that are just on the original Donda. And then there's, on top of that, I believe, I know Harlow is one example, but I think there's a couple moments of that set where there's just other people doing their song. I don't think it's all new Kanye. So anyway, I don't think we've got a finished version of Donda 2. We're probably not getting a new version, a new STEM player, but I could see a different version dropping on streaming. And
all that being said, was I the only person surprised that Kanye actually followed through with having this concert on this 22nd?
No, I don't think you are. I definitely think that the climate of hip hop fans, like Kanye fans, are just like they're like a group of just abused music fans at this point, where they all just they come together, and at this point it's healthier for them to expect that nothing will come out. So I think no, you're not alone in your surprise. I think a lot of people were shocked that not only did the concert happen, but that there was actually 10, 15 new songs.
Well, yeah, because I mean, going back to the first Donda, he did do those 3 different shows, but all 3 of those shows were different versions of the album. I think I heard. But even with that, the dates were pushed back. There was a whole bunch of mess with that. But this actually happened, and I think it was put together in such a short period of time, which kind of explains the audio issues that were happening. But no, me personally, I really liked it. I from what I heard, I liked it a lot more than what I heard from Donda 1. I wasn't a big fan of Donda 1. It was a little too gospel-y for me. I like this album so far. I like what I heard. I'm excited.
Skeet's got this man working overtime. All right, rewinding the shout out Skeet. Rewinding to the Super Bowl, we're just going to touch on this for a second because it was the February. Are we just agreeing awesome moment for hip hop here?
For the halftime show?
Yeah.
I thought the halftime show was great. There were so many different elements to it. I even, yesterday I heard something that I didn't even notice, and I've watched the performance back on YouTube. Apparently at the very end of the show, there was like a kind of an image of Tupac looking down over the city kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I also heard that they wanted to have a Tupac hologram in the set, but they just didn't have enough time. I guess that's why Dre did the "I Ain't Mad at You" on the piano for a couple seconds. But I thought that was cool. Cool elements to that.
That was
Eminem taking the knee.
the timing of it was definitely well done. Like I remember thinking that it went by so quickly, but they were able to shift through Dre, Snoop, M, Kendrick, have that 50. Like it was like it was really well choreographed and thrown together. And you're right, you know, I didn't even actually realize the significance of Eminem. Like I don't know why. I just like I didn't take in during the moment the significance of him taking
Yeah.
the knee. I thought he was just, you know, that he's just old and he just needed to rest a little. But
Yeah, but apparently the NFL told him not to do that, and he
no,
took a knee anyways.
that's fire. I mean, it's like it's kind of the trend to hate on corny old man Eminem, but
Yeah.
nah, shout out M for that. That's super dope.
And then all the nostalgia, man. You get 50 Cent hanging upside down. I know a lot of people were just taking the memes out of that and making a joke out of that whole thing, but
He looked a
real
little,
ones know.
he looked a little puffy. I think that
Sure, but he's come on.
I know they were
It ain't 2003 anymore.
I know they were recreating Into Club. I don't think they had to use the actual tank top that he used in that video. They could have gotten him one size up.
I'm pretty sure that was actually a G unit tank top, and haven't seen those in a long time. He had to pull that one out of a deep closet.
Anyway, man, forget about 2003. Let's talk about 2022.
All right.
Let's get all the way into it. I'm gonna start off with some honorable mentions of the month. A couple albums dropped on the 28th of February, or no, not 20. A couple of the last Fridays drops of the month. I wasn't able to get the full listen that I'd like to. So my first honorable mention is definitely one that I would like to go through a little bit more, and maybe then I'll give everyone an updated opinion on. But I have Earth Gang coming in as my 10th project of the month. I didn't even get all the way through this one, but any critiques of it I have would probably be pretty consistent with my critiques of Earth Gang in general, which is just that I don't find any aspect of the group all that compelling. Like they're not bad lyricists. They definitely have a sense of melody. The production is good. I just kind of find myself only really coming back to the big name features on their projects. You know, the song, like usually not coming back to an Earth Gang song too often unless there's some JID or J. Cole sprinkled in there, which both are on a song on this album. But I don't know, man. I definitely need to give this one a little bit further thought and some time. But I don't know. I thought it was good. Just nothing really all that exciting with this new Earth Gang album for me.
Okay.
Coming in at number 9, we have Chris Crack's new album. Chris Crack is an underground rapper. Kind of has an interesting style. He's somebody who there's like inherent humor and comedy and everything in all of his music. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He's probably closer to a Zach Fox than a Lil Dicky. He's not like all the way comedy, but there's definitely humor within his music. I think that this project growthfully developed. The instrumentals on it are sick, really chill beats. But I find that the delivery and cadence he takes on a lot of the instrumentals don't entirely work. But when it's right on this album. You have songs like Jordan Never Did That Move, which is, you know, him finding, I think, the perfect style for the production he has on this album. Also, shout out Chris Crack for having consistently some of the best track list names in hip hop. On this album, we've got a track named "Shitting with the Door Open." We've got one, "Therapy Don't Work, Try Drugs," "Pussy Better When You Eat It First," "Air Mattresses and Machine Guns." So I mean, if those track names don't have you a little interested, then you know, I don't know what to say, man.
Definitely sounds like he's more on the comedic side.
Moving on, we got Puya's new EP. Puya is someone who's actually, crazy to think now, has probably been around for about 10 years now. He's probably not even 30, but this is somebody who's been, you know, same time as around Kendrick Lamar, Chance the Rapper, Mac Miller, was like kind of like an underground name, like young Florida kid building a buzz.
Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, we don't have to go into the history about this, but I'm pretty sure I was bumping Puya back in the chamber.
Yeah.
Back in like 2012.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
No.
Stunning mixtape.
Yeah. Puya's a cool artist. He's a bit of a mix of sounds. He's got clear influence from Bone Thugs and Harmony. The flows he uses are really, really similar to that group, and that's always been something that he hasn't hid from. That's something that I know he's been open about, their inspiration on him early on.
Well, he calls himself Baby Bone.
Yeah, exactly. So and this new EP, Dirt Hurt Pain, is a short 5-song listen that really, really starts off strong. The first 2 songs on this one really, really hooked me right off the bat. The first one, Wages of Sin and Death, being my absolute favorite. Spoiler alert, that's going to pop up on top 10 of the month. I really loved how this song was dark and moody, but at the same time, not so like emotional. Like there's no, like it's dark, but at the same time, not cringy. And that can be a fine line to find sometimes. It's like a really smooth track that almost feels like Puya driving straight into hell. Serpent, the second track on this EP, also a really nice chill track. The 3, 4 tracks 3, 4, and 5 just don't end strong enough to give this one a top 5 spot in my month. But if you're not familiar with Puya, or if you haven't heard this EP, definitely give it a listen, at least for the first 2 songs.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on, we got Big Crit and his latest album. Next up, we got a project by an artist that I know we're both a pretty big fan of historically, Big Crit. Digital Roses Don't Die. Crit, if you're not familiar with him, definitely one of the most talented writers ever to come out of Southern rap music. I feel pretty confident saying that. Someone who's always had a number of styles in his music, where he's, this great Southern rapper that has that UGK, 8-Ball, and MJG influence, but at the same time isn't afraid to let his soulful side come out. And that really comes out in this new project, Digital Roses Don't Die, where it's really more of I would say, hip hop influenced soul project than it is actually a hip hop project. And I liked this album. I didn't love this album. I thought I'm really into the idea of him exploring these genres more to the point where it's actually more soul and R&B than it is hip hop. Like Crit, someone who that interests me, but I would like to hear more of it, because I don't think that this is, I think he can do better, basically.
I was surprised to hear him singing as much as he was on this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm never going to I'm always going to encourage artists to explore different sounds. I think that understanding what an artist is and understanding, the type of process that someone goes through to put out music, to share it with the world. I would never want an artist to just stick to one sound, or to try and just constantly create something that was celebrated or that they were famous for. So while I don't think that this is a great soul project, I think that it showed Crit's ability to tackle music like this, and I would like to hear him continue to try and flesh these ideas out, because I think that we can get a stronger product from this in the future. A little bit of a fuck up on my end here. There'll be an updated Topster with where it's at, but I forgot to mention Snot's album in the honorable mention here. Really quickly on that one, Snot is somebody who has really impressed me with his sound before. I really like, I fuck with his sound. It's kind of this dark, cool, I like his sound. And then what impressed me on this latest album, Ethereal, was how many different places he actually took his music. He really, there's a lot of different paces on the album. And while I was impressed of how many different sounds he tackled, it didn't all really come together into one nice listen. And there are definitely some dull moments on the project. But I love Snot. He's someone who I'm excited about the future of his career. Coming in at number 6, a tough one to leave off. I have Nicholas Craven, Quebec-based producer. I believe this is his first project that he's the head of, but he's somebody who has been working for. Coming in at number 6 of the month, I have Quebec-based producer Nicholas Craven, someone who's worked closely with Rock Marciano, Griselda over the last couple of years. Definitely has a hand in this whole gangster rap renaissance going on. This is the 3rd installment of his Craven N, I guess, which is sort of to imply Craven and Friends. So it's just a cool mix of underground MCs. We've got Stove God Cooks, Boldy James, Navy Blue, your old Droog. Droog, someone who he's got a project coming out with later in the year. So, just a great collection of talented lyricists on this thing. There's a great Stove God cut. There's a great Navy Blue song. Both of those are somewhere in the lower end of my songs of the month. There's nothing bad about this project. It is a collaboration project, so there's no theme or like really anything put together here other than just a collection of connections and artists that Nicholas Craven is close with coming together to put together a dope music. So yeah, nothing bad to say about this one. I didn't mess with the Elucid cut on this one as much. There's also, I think, a French rapper, Connoisseur Taco, at the end. That one gets a little weird, but if you're a fan of like the names I was mentioning, Griselda, Rock Marciano, this is just a great little collection of gangster rap.
All right, nice.
Yeah,
I have one under my radar. I'm gonna check that one out. But it's kind of funny because we opened this episode talking about how on the last episode we were kind of struggling with a bit of time. And I hope everybody listening is enjoying the honorable mentions, but let's just dive right into the top 5 albums of February. How's that?
let's do it, man. All right.
Kicking it off with number 5, we're going to go with Yeat, Too Alive. This album is a 20-song long project. It runs about an hour long, and it's his 6th project after dropping 3 last year. And this has features from Young Thug, Gunna, and Ken Carson. I don't know too much about Yeat. Tell me about this guy.
Yeat is someone who some would say is a leader of the SoundCloud 2.0 movement. So by that, I mean that, a couple of years back, you look at XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, Lil Yachty, Ski Mask, that whole crop of rappers that all sort of came up seemingly hand in hand together, all making pretty young, fun, exciting music. Yeat is sort of ushering in this new generation of even sort of, slightly wilder, even more energetic music. Other artists like SSG Kobe, Can, Summers, all people who I'm way too old to know about, are people that are sort of part of this movement. And man, shout out Yeat. This is somebody who when I first heard his music, I thought like this is straight up dog shit. But honestly, he really has created his own sound. Like he has this really unique little musical world that he's created. And I say musical world he's created because one thing he prides himself on is like he actually makes up words in his music, like stuff like la geek, twizzy, like he just says shit that are like terms he makes up. I think that's
taking mumble rap to a different level.
Yeah, which is, it's like it's got
picking up words now.
But anyway, this his production, which some would describe as plug production or rage rap, those are terms that float around. Is this like really kind of uncontrolled, frantic, nonstop, in your face energy. And for me personally, sometimes I'm going to be in the mood for that. Sometimes I'm not going to be in the mood for that. There's going to be there's going to be a big divide in opinions on this guy. Even like let me fire off some of the the user submitted comments on this one. I know we both found it funny. We got total opposites here. We had somebody saying overly long, overhyped trap album, nothing that new or interesting. And I also had someone say album of the year so far and will be influential in the underground. Shout out my boy Rap is Moving for that comment, by the way. Timberwolves fan. Good year to be a Timberwolves fan. Anthony Edwards.
I mean, they got the best 3-point shooter big man in history, right?
Anthony Edwards, he's fun, right? Anyway, Yeat, yeah. So there's gonna be a divide in his music that is just so in your face that it's not gonna be for everyone. I think one of my biggest pros and cons with Yeat is that he's so all over the place that I find that it's almost inevitable that there's gonna be these really sick hype moments of every song. Where like the flow he's taking and this crazy ass beat is just gonna sound awesome, and then he'll have these moments where he's just like it sounds awful. I would call them dead moments, where I think he takes so many flows, switches up his delivery so many different times on the songs that he has, I'm calling them dead moments, just these parts where a song will drop off for a moment and then it'll come back and it'll be incredibly hype again.
Highs and lows.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a little all over the place. But this is somebody who, influencers like Cole Bennett, Lyrical Lemonade, Zach Bia, they have all the praise in the world for this guy. They think he's like the next big thing in music. I don't know where I stand on him and his potential, where I think Yeat will be in 5 years. But, he works his ass off. Do you have in your note there how many projects he had?
In total, this is his sixth. He had 3 last year.
Yeah, 3 last year, 1 early in the year this year. So he's somebody who, if you remember when Thug and Future came out, we're just dropping all the time. And that looks like that's his MO. So
where's he from? Do you know? Is he Atlanta?
Born in Portland, living in LA, I want to say. Also Romanian Mexican, because I think a lot of people thought he was Arab or just straight up white and wearing a turban.
Interesting.
But he's not. He's half white and wearing a turban. That's my Yeat for the month. If you want to hear,
you educated me.
If you have more opinions on Yeat, if you want to keep the conversation going, drop a comment on 2 Alive. That's my number 5 project of the month.
That takes us to number 4. This is a guy that's very under the radar for me, a very low-key name. I'm very unfamiliar with this guy, TF. This album, Blame Kansas. This is an LA-based rapper. This is his 9th project on Spotify. The entire project was produced by Rock Marciano and Mefix. This has features from Conway, Crime Apple, Flea Lord, and a couple more. You like TF? You've been hyped about this album the last couple of days, huh?
Yeah, man. This was so. I don't know if any of you will actually notice. I had a little like teaser come out for this episode that I dropped on my Instagram story, and in it I put Puya as the fifth best project of the month, or at least I had him there for people to give their opinions on. But this motherfucker right here decided to drop an awesome project with like 2 days left in the month, so I had to scramble, get my shit together, and let y'all know that Blame Kansas, this is that shit. Yeah, man, I'm pretty excited about this one. TF is somebody who you probably didn't know about unless you were either a big Schoolboy Q fan or just were like really plugged into the LA area. This is somebody who, I don't think he has a song over 50,000 streams on his Spotify when I was checking. So we're talking like, underground rapper here. But man, he raps his ass off on this whole project. And I think there's been a change in camp for him. I don't have any confirmation on this. It seems like he's a part of Flea Lord's Lord Mob crew now. So it seems like he's working with different people now, which might have been what led him to get Rock Marciano, huge name in underground gangster rap, to actually executive produce this whole project.
Well, that's what kind of threw me off with this, because I look at, I know he's an LA-based rapper, right? But Rock's from New York. He's an East
Yeah,
Coast
no,
guy.
and so is Flea Lord, who I'm saying is all, like,
And the
Lord
features,
Mob.
yeah, Crime Apple,
Yeah.
Conway, like those are East Coast guys. Like this is you
So
look at this on paper, it seems like an East Coast thing, but it's West.
Yeah, no, like it's definitely, he's got like that West Coast twang, West Coast style, and then just decides to bring in nothing but East Coast producers and features. But I'm not mad at it, man. The Ola They, the cut with Conway and Rock Marciano, that's my favorite posse cut so far this year. And this whole
High
project,
praise.
I have to give Rock Marciano some credit here too. 2020, he produced a project with Stove God Cook's Reasonable Drought. And I think with both that project and this one, I don't think he's actually making the beats. I think Mefix is the guy making the beats on this. I think Rock is just the one kind of like helping orchestrate this whole thing. He's 2 for 2 in terms of artists, from Stove God to TF, who he's just, you know, putting on for now. 10 songs, 28 minutes. So this is a really short one. If you're a fan of gangster rap, if you're a fan of lyrical rap, if you're a fan of that East Coast gangster rap, man, there's a lot of reasons to check this one out. Really fuck with Blaine, Kansas. And shout out TF for coming so hard as someone who's really not that big on the radar right now.
All right, that brings us into number 3, man. Currency and Alchemist, Continuance. This is a 13-song, 37-minute mixtape. The first drop of 2022 after 7 projects last year from Currency. But this is, however, Currency and Alchemist's second collab project.
7
like
projects.
That Jet Life? Oh, he doesn't stop working.
7 projects. That's actually like, that's kind of gross. And I find always the ironic thing about Currency. Sorry, some technical difficulties here. Having a hard time pulling up this bodega or whatever the fuck this is. Is it not ironic that somebody who is like the biggest stoner in hip hop music dropped 7 albums last year? Like,
whatever he's smoking on is getting those creative juices flowing nonstop.
And by the way, Currency, 7 projects. I love you, man, but that's too much. That's too many projects, bro.
Just a soundtrack for every joint, bro.
Although it represents an interesting strategy that seems to be appearing more and more in underground hip hop, which is that you take people like Currency or someone like Conway or even someone we just mentioned, Crime Apple, people who have these cult fan bases where it makes more sense for them to drop 3 to 5 projects in a year, that their group of 30,000 to 50,000 fans are going to get every one of them. Whereas if they drop an album every 4 years, they're not going to do much more than that 30, 50,000 of their core fan base. So I think Currency is someone who's really recognized, I don't have the biggest fan base in the world, but I do have this cult fan base that rocks with me like whenever I drop. And he's just, you know, working hard to feed that fan base.
Well, he's one of those guys where I'm pretty sure he just lives on the road. And I guess in the last 2 years of COVID, not being able to tour, that's probably played a part in this. I don't know in what ways, probably more ways than one.
That's a great point. I think, yeah, absolutely. Given that we got COVID over the last 2 years, and you know we can't go to a strip club without a mask on. So I think that this is probably, that has definitely added. But I think that like the crazy work ethic is just something that is just on the record. Like I watched an interview with Alchemist where he said that the first night that they recorded 2 songs for this album, Currency was like, all right, let's drop them. And Alchemist was like, bro, what do you mean drop them? Like, I haven't mixed them. And apparently Currency was like, it's like, nah, that's how I do it. I was like, I record the shit and I drop it. I got a fan base and I feed them. And apparently Alchemist had to convince him to like not drop it. And we got this one a little while later. Wow. Speaking of Alchemist, shout out, in my opinion, probably the best producer active right now. Just looking at the last couple of years and the work he's did between Gibbs, this shit he's done for the Griselda Boys. I'm forgetting something here, some Boldy projects. But Alchemist,
his name is definitely in the mix of one of the hotter producers in the last few years for sure.
Crazy run over the last few years, and I will go far and say this is my favorite production of this year.
Wow.
I don't know, maybe Earl coming in as a second there, but really not even that close. The production is the driving force of this album. Beautiful, gorgeous production, relies a lot more on keys, sort of more jazzier instruments, not a lot of drum rolls or typical hip hop, no, like not a lot of boom bap or up tempo, fast paced shit. Really chill music. The features on this one, from Boldy James, Larry June. We get a great Styles P verse, even Havoc. I mean, I don't know how old Havoc is at this point, but it comes through with a dope verse. This whole project's put together really nicely. I know I'm bringing up Currency's rapping last, but you know, if I'm being honest, Currency is someone who is better at kind of floating over these lush, chill projects than he is actually, like, you know, he's not a top tier MC himself, but he knows how to exist within this really chill music. And this is probably my favorite. You know, it would be this or the Outrunners would be my favorite project from him in the last 2 years. So of his, you know, fucking 38 projects that he's dropped since 2019, this might be the best.
And then the producer Alchemist, I'm pretty sure some of his production bleeds through on our number 2 here, no? Because number 2, we got Conway, God Don't Make Mistakes. Yes. It's a 12-track album, 48 minutes. This is his first, believe it or not, this is actually his first release on Shady. And I know there's been a lot of things with the whole coming out on Shady, but anyways, this is his first release of 2022, but his 6th since 2020. This has features from Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, T.I., Beanie Siegel, and a few more. And like I said, production, we got some Alchemist, and you know who else? You know who Conway works with. We got that good, grimy beats.
Machine. You know, given what you want from Conway, not you, anyone, like depending on what you want from Conway, is going to really depend what you think about this project. This is a really, really personal project. You could tell this one meant a lot to Conway. I know in his rollout of the album, he's talking about how proud he is of the album, and how the thing he keeps saying over and over again is that no critic can ever say shit again, because in his mind, he basically, you know, has completely, you know, ran a sledgehammer through the idea that he's somebody who only makes coke rap or gangster rap. And this album absolutely is a very personal, emotional, vulnerable project. You get Conway talking from everything about how he lost a child at childbirth to being abused as a kid. He talks about the gunshot wound more in depth than he ever has before. And he's not somebody who has never shared a personal side before. You have classic Conway tracks like The Cow, that talk about you know, one of his best friends dying. So this is not something new for him, but it is his most personal project all in all together. This is something where the whole thing is really personal. And honestly, it's not my favorite Conway project for that reason. I mean, this is something that I think it's like watching a movie that it's like coming out of 12 Years a Slave and thinking, oh man, that was a great movie. I never want to watch that again. And that's not entirely how I feel about this album. I'm not never going to go back to this, but I can't see, like, how many times am I going to go back and be like, oh, I want to listen to a four-minute in-depth run through of how Conway's bullet got lodged in his face. I mean, it's a powerful, well done song. I'm not trying to take away anything from the music on this album, but if I'm speaking honestly and personally to what I like, you know, songs like John Woo Flick and Piano Love, which were 2 singles before the album even dropped, will probably be my most listened to songs over the next few months from him, because I prefer Conway on his grimy talking shit. Like, that's what I want from him. And going back to what I said about Crit earlier in the episode, when my understanding of what music is and what releasing art is, I'm super excited, super proud and happy that Conway went this route. It's just, you know, these episodes are my honest favorite albums of the month, and that's what it is with this album. It's a great project. It's really vulnerable. I applaud him for how well of a job he did making a personal album, but it's one that I'm gonna respect yet not go back to continue, you know, over and over again.
I hear you. I hear you. I thought it was a pretty good album as well, but that we're right around number one now, man.
I'm gonna, this one definitely got some of the most comments.
Right, yes.
That I got feedback for this one. All the comments are really sort of around the same, which is, you know, people very good and personal. Some of Conway's best and most heartfelt songs, easily top 3 Conway. That was another one that I got. I had another one, Conway's best since Everything Is Food 2. Another, you know, my boy Rob over in UK. Love you, Rob, if you're listening. He mentions one of his best too. So clearly that the reception on this one is strong.
Yeah.
This was out of all the votes, to run through them quick. Yeat. We had people. I had my followers vote on every album. Yeat came through as a 6 out of 10. TF didn't actually get a vote because I didn't put him up in time. Currency 7 out of 10. Conway, this was an 8 out of 10 from the RapCentrist followers. So this was the best voted project of the month. People love this one. I'm not mad at it. I guess going through the comments, I want to encourage more people. Is this the best Conway album to you, in your opinion? Is this top 3 Conway album? If you're listening, let's get in on the debate. I would have it just outside his top 3 personally, but I want to hear everyone's opinion.
And even let us know if Conway is your favorite in Griselda. Are you a Benny fan? You like Conway the Machine? You like West Side Gun? Let us know. Talk to us. And so you want to close out the top 5 albums of the month with number 1, Saba. Few Good Things. This project here is 14 songs at 47 minutes. This is 3rd major release and has features from Black Thought, G Herbo, Smino, Crazy Bone, and a few more. Saba, he's Chicago, man. Go ahead.
Few Good Things. This is an interesting project. It's a project from someone who has made a lot of thematic and conceptual work throughout his career. Songs like Prom King, a lot of the songs on his Care For Me and Bucket List project, a lot of the songs on both those drops really explored heavier themes and ideas than this one. So I want to kick it off right off the bat and address a comment I got for this one. My boy Hip Hop Haven mentioned this one. He thought it lacked ambition and thematic exploration, disappointing after a 4-year wait. 4 years since his last project. And another, I think, important note for me, or for anyone who is not the biggest Saba fan to mention, was that I did not hear any of the singles leading up to this album. So over the last year, the lead single for this album dropped, I think, almost a full year ago. And there's been 4 singles leading up to it. So I came into this album not having heard any of the singles. And I'm sure that enhanced my experience, because anyone who is a big Saba fan, was only getting, how many tracks? This was 14 tracks?
14 songs, yeah.
So they got, you got 10 new songs instead of 14. And some of the singles were, in my opinion, some of the strongest songs in the project. So I can understand why some people might have been a little more underwhelmed than myself, as someone who came into this one for the first time. As far as this one not being as thematic or conceptual of his last few projects, let me just say this. I don't need something to have a grand concept or for something to be incredibly deep for me to really like it. I think that when we talk about the best music of all time or the best rap albums of all time, it's hard to get to that level without exploring any sort of theme or concept, or without bringing any sort of ingenuity or fresh ideas that haven't been explored before. So, yeah, the fact that this is not, there's no heavy themes here may hurt it from being one of the, I don't know. I don't need, I don't need that for something that is just a good album. I thought this was a collection of 14 really well done songs. I thought his ability as a rapper was really strong throughout this whole project. I thought that he takes on a number of styles. He goes from fast pace to slow pace, while really keeping the whole project kind of a connected vibe. Which is something that I don't think is easy to do, and I appreciate, to be able to mix speeds, but then also not sound like, you know, you're being thrown all over the place sonically. You know, not a criticism of this album, but I will say, if you're looking at my top songs of the month, I don't even have my first song off this album until number 10, and that's because I thought this was more of 14 really good songs than it was 14 songs with 4 or 5 great standout moments.
Okay.
Like, I just thought the whole thing was really enjoyable and kept my attention throughout 14 songs. And that's why, for me, I thought this was my best album of the month. But, you know, I'm curious what people think about this one. I had another couple comments. Somebody said they thought this one was boring. I had somebody say that, you know, that while it was a worthwhile project, although not close to his best. So it definitely seems like there was a little bit of a mild reception to this one. To close out this album, I will say that for my top 5 this month, there's not a lot of separation between TF, Currency, Conway, and Saba. I have the 4 of them grouped pretty close together. You know, I don't like using ratings, but they're all somewhere between a strong 7 to a light 8 for me. There was nothing that blew me away this month. Nothing that probably challenged Earl's album as my favorite of the year so far. But four really solid projects between TF, Currency, Conway, and Saba.
Perfect, man. Well, that concludes the albums of the month for February.
Does it? I want to get you chiming in here a little bit. What should these 5 move you the most? You want to run through these 5? Could you want to give quick takes on any of them, or?
I mean, with the 5, you know, Yeat's not really my kind of music. I listened to a few songs. It was fine. It was cool. It was fun. I'm just not gonna. It's not gonna be in rotation for me. TF, I thought was pretty cool. Like I said, I'd never really heard of the guy before. I really did like a couple songs off that. I'm gonna keep listening to it and maybe dig a little deeper into his catalog and see what else he's working with. Currency, it's funny because Currency is one of those guys where I really like him. I like who he is. I like the music. I like the vibe of the music, but I just can't do it. This voice, I just can't do it.
You smoke too much weed to not enjoy Currency. I don't get it. It doesn't add up to me.
His voice, he just sounds like a whiny snail, and I mean that with the most respect.
You know what? We're bringing back the fucking bodega artwork. I gotta talk about something for a second, kids. I have a message for you. Currency is better when you're smoking weed. And I'm not telling you that smoking weed is just better for your life in general. There are certain things that are worse when you're smoking weed. Taking a math test is worse when you're smoking weed. Parallel parking is worse when you're smoking weed. This Currency album, better when you're smoking weed.
I would like to think that we don't have any listeners that are studying for a math test right now. But hey. Anyways, no, it's still jet lag to the next leg, but even I can't get down with the music. Conway was good. It was what I expected, honestly. I mean, it was deeper than what I expected, but it was a really good listen, and it is nice hearing those like gritty gangster rappers get into the vulnerable stuff, like talking about, you know, like he's already talked about a lot of the things, but going into depth a bit more and like really letting us in. And then Saba, I liked a lot, man. I haven't been listening to him for a long time, but like I've known of him for a long time. I've seen him in concert. And like I like his energy. I think as I listened to this album from start to finish, I thought it was just a good listen. Kind of like the Big Crit. Like I'm totally okay with Big Crit not being in the top 5 of the month because it's almost not even a rap album. but just a good listen from start to finish. Put it on in the background if you want to clean up the crib. You got to do something, like just have it on and just
clean it up. If you live with your mom, clean up your mom's crib. Right.
But yes, that is the top 5 for February. And to everybody still listening, we appreciate you. And now we're gonna try to run through the top 10 songs of the month real quick.
I'm burning through these. I'm fucking crop dusting.
We gotta go through them quickly.
Racing through them.
I'm gonna kick it off with the 10th song, and that is 2012 by Saba featuring Day Wave.
Yeah, man. We were just talking about how I didn't have necessarily one standout song from this album. It was more that consistently through the 14 songs, I just enjoyed the vibe of it all. If I had to pick a favorite, this would be it. Really sort of, honestly, like tender and pretty, like, it's a sweet little love song where he talks about not only a relationship with a girl, but his relationship with music and how that related to his relationship with this girl. So just I thought it was sweet. I thought that the feature brought it down a little bit. I kind of just preferred Saba's chorus without bringing in additional vocals there. But yeah, that's my number 10. If you like love songs, kids, that's the one. There's your love song of the month.
Number 9, that boy Jack Harlow, Nail Tech.
That boy. Nail Tech, this is one that was definitely one of the biggest drops numbers wise of the month. Harlow, just super big right now, definitely one of the biggest rappers out. My biggest point on Nail Tech is that I will say go back and listen to this song. The reason why it's number 9 and not like 4 or 5, fucking kills the first verse. Comes out with like this great energy, talking his shit, like really nicely put together first verse. From the second that second verse starts with, ain't a fashionista, but I'm fly though. It's just, he doesn't have, go back, listen to it. The second verse, it brings it down. Great. I like the song a lot. Make a better second verse next time, Jack.
And don't think I don't see what you're doing, Jack. You're nasty with that little What's Poppin' add-on with the Spotify single for Nail Tech. You're nasty for that. The song's already how many times platinum? What are you doing?
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know what Robbie's talking about, he packaged What's Poppin', his fucking super viral mega hit What's Poppin', packaged it with Nail Tech because I guess What's Poppin' needed more streams. That's number 9. What do we got at number 8, fam?
Scared Money, YG, J. Cole, Moneybagg Yo.
J. Cole feature on its back. Back.
He's killing shit, man.
Had one in 2018.
But hey. YG, I liked YG's verse on this a lot. It was giving me Good Kid, Mad City vibes.
Yes, I like YG's verse a lot. Can you tell me why Moneybagg Yo closes? Why does he come in after J. Cole?
I don't know why he's on the song. I think that might have been, honestly, the first verse I've ever heard from Moneybagg Yo. And that could be that could discredit me, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it could be a one and done for you and Moneybagg.
It's
not a bad. I don't think it's a bad verse, but I think that I agree with you. I like YG's verse. It had a swagger to it, and then obviously J. Cole just comes through and just bars the shit out of it. Moneybagg Yo, kind of a strange choice for him to close after J. Cole. Still a great song. J. Cole had another fire feature on the Earth Gang project, but I like this one a little bit more.
Number 7, Doja, Snot, A$AP Rocky.
This is one that super early in the month, like might have actually been February 1st. This is a song that apparently has been teased since like 2019. Like this is like recorded a long time ago, but Snot really held on to this one. I love the energy on this one. I don't think it's the sharpest Rocky verse, but I love Snot's energy. It's got this great chorus that I could see myself absolutely moshing to like 5 years ago, because I think I'm too old to mosh now. But I love the energy on it. It's tailed off a little bit to me now, but I think that's probably just because a lot of the other songs on my top of the month are a little newer. This one's been around for about a month. But yeah, I mess with this song.
Number 6, Reese's Cup. Hang on, real quick. I don't know if you can spell it out for us in the comments, but let us know how you pronounce Reese's Cup. Do you say Reese's or Reese's? Anyways, Reese's Cup, Currency and Alchemist.
Yeah, this is a bit of a similar note with the Currency project than I made about the Saba project, which is that there wasn't necessarily one song that really stood out and above as the best song of the whole project. This would be the one for the instrumental. It's got a beautiful piano roll, and I just kind of had a gut feeling that this was my favorite project off the album. Also, a quick note for anyone: I've always a rule I've always had for my top 10, and I don't even think it doesn't even really apply this month because I don't think any album had 2 tracks. But I don't do more than 2 songs per album in a top 10, because otherwise there would be some months where if Kendrick dropped an album, he would have 8 out of the 10.
Hey, there might be some exceptions to the rule.
We'll see. Kendrick just drop and we'll find out. What do we got next?
Wages of Sin is Death, Puya.
Yeah, this one I already, I'll just, if you've been listening to the episode, you already heard what I had to say about this one. I said it sounded like Puya driving a Cadillac straight into hell. I like how dark and smooth and moody it is while not being like overly emo or cringy. Check this one out for yourself, man. Wages of Sin and Death. I know Puya got the least attention of any of the other albums I was teasing, so it sounds like a lot of my followers aren't onto this one. Give it a chance.
And then number 4, and then I'm going to kick it off to you. Jean Wu Flick, Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher, West Side Gun, Griselda.
We've got another track here that has been out for a little while longer. For anyone who doesn't remember at this point, yes, this was very start of February. Second single off God Don't Make Mistakes. Classic Griselda cut. This is the Conway that I like, just talking his shit over a grimy Derringer beat. I thought Conway definitely had the strongest performance of the 3 in this one, which is, I've heard him say before, no matter how much he loves Benny or West, like he always wants to kill them on a track. He always wants
as you should.
Yeah. So, I mean, no surprise that on his album, he has the best verse. He even kind of comes back with a little, I like how he has his verse and then he opens the next verse 2 is Benny's verse, but Conway opens it with his Derringer compared to RZA. I'm compared to dudes that'll stab you in the face with a pair of scissors. That's the Conway I like. I like crack your jawbone with a slap alone, Conway. That's the Conway I like. John Woo Flick, super fire. That's my number 4.
Wrap up the top 3.
Number 3, I got La Geek coming in by Yeat. This is an album that was just full of energy, full of just fucking hype shit throughout the whole time. This one just comes down to gut feeling. This was what I thought. This was the shit that got me the most hype off the whole album. La Geek, funny enough, is how I mentioned earlier. It's just a made-up term. I don't know exactly what it means, but that's just something Yeat made up.
It doesn't mean earlier, little geek.
Sorry?
It doesn't mean little geek.
I don't know, man. Ask one of these fucking kids who follows my show. They got a lot of people who are way more hip than me. Some of them will know. If you know what love geek means, drop a comment. What I said earlier about his project having dead moments on certain songs where the flow just changed so much that it would always hit a point where he just found a flow or a sound that just didn't work for me. I thought this was the best song on the whole tape that like never tapered off at any point. It was just like solid energy throughout the whole song.
Okay.
Number 2, Olade, by far my favorite song off of the TF project. This was actually a single for the project too. I spent a lot of time on this episode talking about what I liked from Conway. Conway is featured on this track and is definitely in the vein that I like him, just talking his shit. Rock Marciano has his only verse on the album here. Love his verse. Between TF, Conway, Rock Marciano, there's never a dry point of this song. The energy just keeps going throughout the 3 of them. Love the instrumental on this one. This track's fucking sick, man. I just go listen to it. And number one of the month. What's not Diet Coke? Pusha T.
You ordered Diet Coke. That's a joke, right?
Yeah, man. Shout out Pusha. I think that this sounds like an extension of the shit he was doing off Daytona. I think that it's a pretty popular opinion that Daytona was Pusha's best solo work, and that a lot of reason for that was the cohesiveness with the Kanye production. And honestly, this track sounds like it could slide right into the Daytona track list. It's that sort of same energy, that same vibe to it, that sort of grandeur dope boy, like where it's this sort of, it's that grimy street shit, but it's got the grandeur of Kanye West production. And you know, someone, you know, he's went from a dope boy to the good music president. It's a beautiful representation of what Pusha T is now. You actually said to me earlier in the month, you said you thought this song was so perfect that it actually was like you didn't like it because it was so perfect.
Almost like it almost seems like it's just so well put together. Like the flows on the beat are just so perfect with where the beat's hitting. Like it's the song's almost like too well done. Like there's no,
you have
like obviously there's flaws with it, but like it's just too, I don't know, I can't really describe it.
There you have it. Number one of the month is so good that it's actually too good. And that concludes February.
I'm really, just to really say quickly, I am very excited for this Pusha T album. I saw something saying that it's going to be entirely produced by Pharrell and the Neptunes and Kanye West. So I'm hoping it's not going to be another 7-song project. I think we're done with that. I think Pusha even said he's done with that. But I'm hoping for like a good 14 songs maybe, and just some good Neptunes, Pharrell production, some Kanye sprinkled in there. Should be a good time.
Robbie, going through the list, is there anything you thought should have made my top 10? Is there anything I could have used a different placement?
I mean, I did like the Earth Gang JID J. Cole song. I don't, it could be in that mix. And with that being said, I also did like the Future song Billy on Earth Gang's album as well.
Yep. I've also got Future's Worst Day single.
I was just gonna mention that one too.
On the actual list, my 30 songs of the month, which you'll be able to check in a Spotify playlist.
Yeah, and we got to make sure anybody that wants to check out the playlist, we're gonna have a link for that available. You guys can stream along with us, check out all the stuff we're listening to. Feel free to comment if you're digging it, if you're not. But no, I'm okay with the top 10 list. I'm cool with it.
All right, I can sleep okay then. Thank you to anyone who has made it from start to finish this episode.
We're working on the time, guys. We're working on it.
If you did make it start to finish, fucking let us know that you did. So we'll do another one of these or 10 more of these.
But seriously, do you spell it Reese's or Reese's?
Maybe we'll know in March. That's the goal. We're gonna have this down by March 1st.
But Harry and I have also been discussing the possibility of having like a second show as well. In the middle of the month, maybe not so a bit of a different type of thing. Let us know if you guys would be interested in that. Let us know if you guys want to hear more from us. And yeah, man. I guess until April 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until next time.
All right. Have a good one, guys.